If you're looking to acquire a great business for sale, which is a great way to become the entrepreneur of your dreams, then acquiring an existing business might be really great, but finding one that has financing gives you the power to buy a larger business with less money down or out of your pocket. I just went to a database a moment ago, just before doing this recording. It's an open public database, and I looked at the number of businesses that were on that listing for a certain part of the United States. In this case, I came up with 2,274 businesses, and then I went to that same database and I said, show me ones that the numbers are represented by taxes and that the SBA has pre-qualified the businesses, or a lender that uses SBA. And there's different types of loans, but we're going to talk about the one called a 7A loan, which we'll go into the details later on. But I just want to show you the impact of how that particular funding might look to you. So let's just take a look at some businesses for sale here. And we're going to go through a couple different ones. And this is an example of one. And let's say it costs $250,000, and that's kind of great. If we go the SBA route, we're going to know that we need some financing, so I'm going to provide some numbers and say, let's guesstimate that it's $25,000. Now, that has no bearing on the reality of whatever the banks are looking at, so you need to go to a bank whenever you're looking at a loan and saying, hey, how much are you going to charge me? But quite often, the banks will roll that closing cost amount into the whole amount of the loan. So we're going to say, well, what does that look like? And we'll say that's $275,000 if you do the math. Pretty easy so far. Now, different banks will have different rules, but in general, they're looking for 20% down, and that's money that's seasoned in your account. So if you have a bank account where for the last 3 or so months, you show this amount of money that you have on hand, then that's a good thing. You can quite often, if you do it the right way, pull money out of a 401k or IRA loan, but just make sure that you do it the right way, and there's a process for that. This is not about how to do that process in this case, but I'm going to give you the example of putting in 20% down for the loan. Okay, so let's say we come up with 20% down, and that gives us an amount of $55,000 out of pocket. Remember, you're paying for the business and are going to account for the amount for the loan. There's a thing called seller holdback, but we're going to leave that zero for this particular case, and so we won't put anything in for that amount. But sometimes a bank will require, or sometimes to make the deal happen, the seller is going to have to be involved in providing some down payment. So we got $55,000 that we're taking out of our pocket for a loan that's $275,000, and we're going to find out that that's $220,000. You might already be ahead of me, okay? Let's take a look at then for the annual rate, and I throw in 9.5. It might be 10. It might be 8. The times change. I have a friend that says you don't, marry a loan rate. You date it, because you can always go back and change it later on, or most often you can go back and change it later on, and make sure you talk to your lender and the people representing you in the deals to confirm that. Now at 9.5% rate, that comes out to be this percentage on a monthly basis if you're taking it for the full 10 years or 120 months. And you can look at that from a monthly basis, saying I have to pay this amount, and I'm paying this on an annual basis. Now, SDE is that total amount that a working owner gets out of business. And in this particular case, I used one that was very similar. It was earning $135,000. Pretty good deal, because you're only asking for $250,000 to begin with. There's a little less than 2 times earnings, and some will be a little less. Sometimes will be more, sometimes a lot more. But if we also then take a look at, well, I'm going to make this payment, the $34,161 a year, will give us an amount in our pocket afterwards. And that's assuming that you're going to do as well the year that you take over as the prior time period that you've taken over the business. So there's no guarantee that the past is going to generate the same as what it will do into the future, but you make some assumptions, and hopefully you're going to find a business that you can improve upon. And I also like to take a look at what I get in terms of return for my business. And you can sort of see that this one gives about $183,000, and you figure you're going to do a loan over a 10-year time period, and a lot of different things go into these different scenarios. Now, this is a pretty easy formula to create on Excel. I encourage you to create something like this. If you want help, you want us to send you one, you can reach out to us at our website and find our contact information. Say, hey, would you send me something like this? We'll be glad to share the tips on there. But the other thing that I like about this is that it gives you the ability, oops, sorry about that, to begin to take a look at different scenarios, and you can compare, what if I did the same business with 10% down, or what if I bought a business for $350,000, and on and on. So you can begin to look at the different scenarios. But this is really just to give you an idea of what we've got going on. Again, looking for businesses that are SBA pre-qualified. They generally tend to be the best, but as you saw before on the screen, they also tend to be very, very rare to find. 1 out of 10, 1 out of 12, you might be good fortune to find that. Now, 2 things about those SBA pre-qualified if you can find them. Number 1, not all of the scenarios that you see on the internet that are saying that they're pre-qualified are going to work. All right. Sometimes they're overzealous. Sometimes the market changes. Sometimes there's some changes in the business. Sometimes you might not qualify for the business. You usually have to have reasonable credit, U.S. citizen or green card holder, have the ability to demonstrate that you can run the business. It doesn't necessarily have to be industry in the business, although some banks prefer it in English. And the other scenario is that not all businesses that are not pre-qualified, that doesn't mean if they're not pre-qualified, it does not mean that they can't get SBA loans, but in most cases, a lot of them are really a far stretch from getting them, but I see them as truly being valuable opportunities. I hope this is helpful to you. This is Brian Stevens with Legacy Venture Group and our BuyBizUSA tips for future buyers of business owners. And if that's your journey, if that's your plan, I wish you well, and I hope great things happen. Take care and reach out to us later on. Thank you. Bye-bye.